Welcome back. Now that we have an understanding of the 7 levels of awareness, the 7 levels of energy, and ultimately what shapes how we show up, we're going to talk about now how to create change. So in the previous video, we talked about being able to take action from either that emotion or that action phase, or what I like to call the reaction phase, or when we take a second to stop and really connect with that core belief that we may have. Now, this takes practice because as humans, we're not constantly walking around saying, well, what is my core belief about this situation or this person or whatever it may be? But when we find that we're particularly in that catabolic state, in that level 1 or that level 2 energy, this is a really strong strategy that allows us to show up because of how we choose to, not because of what we're used to, not because it's our normal frustrated reaction or angry reaction or self-deprecating reaction. So once we have that feeling, once we have that awareness that we are in that level 1 or level 2 energy, that's where this process starts. We pause. And this is potentially the hardest, but the most important step. Here's why. When we have awareness, it's so easy to kick into that reaction because it's a muscle that's been built over our entire lives. But now we have to practice to start to use a new muscle. And it takes time, it takes patience, it takes understanding, it takes giving yourself grace. So what I like to do in this pause phase is to first appreciate and give gratitude for the fact that I have showed up with the hardest part, right? I had the awareness and now I'm actually taking time to pause. Now in this pause, this is where you're going to create a strategy. And your strategies are going to differ depending on the intensity of the situation. So let's say, for example, it's a lower intensity situation, right? Maybe we run into traffic or we're in a rush, we have to be somewhere and there's a long line at the grocery store. Now, in this situation, something I like to do is I like to pause, stop what I'm doing, and take 10 deep breaths. Now, if it's a situation where maybe I got an annoying email that is just frustrating me, I will actually physically remove myself from the place that I'm in and go into another room. And I will take the 10 deep breaths so that I can change my environment. I can change where I'm at. And that lends itself to really allowing me to change my mindset. So I take 10 deep breaths. It takes about 60 seconds and I'm able to move forward in a higher energy space. Now, if it's a higher intensity level 1 or level 2 feeling, right? Say we just lost a job or loss of a loved one or really difficult argument with someone, we will likely need a different strategy. Oftentimes in those situations, the 10 deep breaths does not work. Maybe it's taking 10 minutes away to just cool down. Maybe it's taking half of a day away to cool down. But whatever it is, find something that works for you. That's your strategy within this pause. Now, when we're in this pause, the next step is to make a choice based on those 7 levels of energy. What is my best yes? What is my option here that serves me the best? This in and of itself is being able to move to that level 7 of energy, right? You're giving yourself the time and the space to be able to zoom out, to be that chess player, to say, you know what? This person is probably feeling this way or whatever it may be. I'm going to zoom out. Let's use that example of an email, right? So I have the awareness that I'm frustrated by this email, level 2. I'm going to pause. I'm going to move into the kitchen. I'm going to take 10 deep breaths and I'm going to allow myself the time to make a choice. So when I zoom out, I see, oh, wow, maybe this person is struggling with something themselves. They actually have a valid point. There is an opportunity to be learned here, but my level 1 ego is coming in to play here, isn't completely open to feedback. And as a result, I'm defending myself, right? I'm moving into that level 2 frustration. But you know what? Actually, there's probably an opportunity here. So knowing that this person is struggling with the situation and knowing that there's actually an opportunity to be learned here, I'm going to make the choice to show up between a level 4 and a level 5 energy. We can use them together at play. So I'm going to respond with care and compassion for whatever it is this person may be going through. And I'm also going to talk about the opportunity, right? I'm going to take ownership for whatever it is I need to do. And I'm going to talk about the opportunity so that ultimately we can get to that level 5 win-win. And by the way, this whole thing, there's something to be learned from the situation, which again is that level 5 energy. So within that 60 seconds, I've been able to pause. I've been able to reconnect with a present moment, take 10 deep breaths, and I've been able to move from a level 2 choice to a level 4 and 5 choice. Now, if you only get these first 3 steps and you don't take action on it, then we still have no movement, right? If we get to that level, to adjust to that choice level, but we still show up in level 2, then we got to go back and we have to try it again. We have to try harder the next time. And so we have to take action, right? So when I come back, I sit down at my computer, I have a much better idea of what it is that I'm going to say. Instead of snapping back at this person, I'm going to show up out of care and compassion and really speak to the win-win here, instead of walking in super frustrated, pointing fingers, whatever it may be. Take action on it. And then ultimately, that is going to get me a much greater result than snapping back at that person, right? And that is ultimately the results that I am looking for. And so when I do this, great, if that worked out great, then amazing. I'm going to continue to practice this. It's something I'm going to continue to use. But what I always like to do is make sure we set aside that time to reflect. Set aside that time to say, did my pause work for me? Was my strategy not enough for the intensity? Or maybe it was too much for the intensity, or maybe I need to try something different. Maybe I need to tie something physical to it. Maybe whenever I notice this level 2, I snap a rubber band on my wrist, whatever it may be, whatever it is that works for you. But maybe I need to change something up about it. Or maybe I didn't make the right choice. Maybe it was a better choice than a level 2, but maybe there was an even better one I could have made. And then if we get to that action, you know what? Maybe my action didn't fully represent that level 4 and 5. Maybe it was more of a level 3 and 4. It could have been better the next time. And this is something that in a lower intensity thing that we're practicing could take 30 seconds in your head, right? But what I suggest people to do is to find one of 2 things, either 10 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, to sit down and reflect on how we showed up and what our intention is for the following week, so that we can be showing up in a better, higher energy phase. So what I'd love for you to do is to create a low intensity. Let's use that same example. You get a frustrating email. I'd love for you to take some time right now, take the next 5 minutes and write out what your action plan is to create change the next time you find yourself in that situation. Use it, go back and reflect on it, and change it if you need to, and continue to come back to this. And then the next time something gets a little bit more intense, create a new action plan strategy. Same thing for the next higher intensity one. Create a new action plan strategy so that 6 months from now, you have 5 or 6 really strong strategies for differing intensities of that level 1 and level 2 energy. Try that. I would love to hear how it goes from you, and we'll see you in the next video. Go own it.